Okay, so this is the Wolf Suite indicator tutorial. I guess not really a tutorial because that would be me explaining how to trade. I just went over, I think we have 3 videos now on the trading system. So it's pretty much just what these are, what they help look for, what they help identify. And we are currently in a trade on NASDAQ, so we can kind of use this current trade to kind of help our overall idea using these indicators. So if you just add this to your chart, it kind of does look a little messy. So I tell people this, and I was just telling people this before the recording. I don't have all of these on my chart at once. So what these can be useful for is just like at a glance. So like say you have all of these turned off and you just want the pivots and the boxes to be printed on the chart. Say you're just like, you know what, I just want to see how strong the trend is. You can click the trend strength, click anywhere in this area, and then it'll start to update. And you can see it's the last one was red, and you can kind of just like see, right? But then you can turn it right back off so that way it doesn't crowd your chart. And say you like the entry aid being on here. So for me, what my setup is, before I would get into the explanation, I'll keep the pivot points on, I'll keep the trend direction on, the entry aid and the volume bars and the breakout, and that's it. Because it doesn't take up too much clutter on my chart. I like the breakout because the breakout will update with me real time on what price is doing and where breakouts are potentially going to happen. Entry aid kind of tells me the momentum and all that, but you kind of get the picture. So what is each one step by step? So we'll kind of turn all these off and go. So pivot points, all this one is it's showing you, it has the built-in default TradingView pivot point indicator on the screen. So this is just if you go to indicators and type in pivot point, it will get this. But in addition to that, it's printing our box. So if you go and watch our strategy in-depth video, you'll understand what this box is. It's the New York session closing price and the P line. It draws that box for you. If you double click here, you can change the color. So as you guys know, I like to make my box yellow, and then I will turn off R4, R5, S4, S5, and I'll make the pivot lines white so I don't get it confused with my overall zone. Okay. So now it's starting to take shape of what I normally do. If you do, again, if you stick to the system, you don't have to mess with any of the types, but you can go through and, again, just like the normal functionality of the pivot points, you can switch to Fibonacci, Woody, all that stuff. But again, I don't mess with any of the default pivot ones. And now this is exactly what your screen should look like if you changed to the exact color scheme as myself. We'll leave the pivot points on because that's like just the basics. I think everybody should have at least the pivot points when on here. But if we're looking at New York average pips, again, this is just showing us in any given day. Now, to use the average price movement indicator, you have to go to the 1 hour time frame to get an accurate readout. So just if you at a glance, say you're looking at an asset or you just want to kind of be reminded of what NAS does because we're sitting here looking at NAS, in any given day, NAS moves 155.50, and all that means is it's literally doing the calculation for you instead of you sitting and having to do it all manually. It's taking the bottom of the wick in the New York session, and it's taking the top of the wick in the New York session, so it's 145. So you can know in this specific day on August 13th, NASDAQ moved a little less than normal. That's all it means. So if you know 155 and then it's less, it's a below average day. And this will also help you in terms of not trading within momentum. Okay, so we want to get in at the beginning of that distribution phase for that day. So we don't want to get in at the end of that where, say, NAS has already moved, 160 pips for the day. We're probably not going to want to get into a trade because it's going to be at the end of that distribution. We don't want that. We want something at the beginning, early, before it makes any more sudden movements. You can also change the color of this. So if you go down here to label color, you can change it to whatever you want. You can even make a custom color if you want. I just like red because it kind of pops a little bit there. And if you ever want to make changes in here, but you don't want to click off, you can just click, like I said, anywhere in the empty space. So like you see how I clicked green, but then I have to click and then it'll change. So if I just do this, it won't change. You have to click and then it'll change. So that's that one. Trend direction, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's using how I coded the indicator to give you the best probable trend in price action, so it's updating real time with the price bars. So right now it's bearish and it'll stay bearish until something happens or something changes. Again, you compare this really well with the trend strength to see how strong this bearish trend is. This is not telling you that it is a strong bearish trend. What it's telling you is right now, objectively, it is bearish. And then it's going to update with price action and market structure to then tell you if the trend's changing or whatever. So you can trade with the trend and just understand where the price is most likely going. Entry aid is telling you the momentum of the market in addition to how we trade. So you can see here it actually had a really nice entry here. But again, these aren't blind buy and sell trades or anything like that. But what they can do is, and why I called it the entry aid, is if these do print around the time of our prime entries, it just gives you a better confluence that this is potentially going to be a great trade. So I can't even make this up, right? This is just a great example of that. Some of you were actually bragging on this morning and did. The only reason I didn't get into this NAS trade here was because I didn't like this wick on the top. So this is an example of me not using this indicator to blindly trade. And you can see how this did play out. But again, I only take high quality setups. So you can argue like, yeah, Austin, come on, bro. This hit profit. But it wasn't a high quality setup. So it is what it is. But it did, if everything's met my criteria, I would just have that much more confidence getting into this trade because it printed here. Or even if it prints a little bit before the entry, that the momentum is in fact bearish. And you can see here, we're in this trade currently, and we just had a little wolf face with the red. That's the entry aid print here mid trade. So that just, again, gives you further confirmation. It can even help you hold trades, right? So if you're like freaking out because you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to close this trade or whatever, you can kind of just hold this trade because in confidence you know that still it's the overall direction is on your side. We had a red arrow here. This red arrows will highlight and the green arrows will highlight from the breakouts of the boxes. So that's attached to the pivot points. And they'll just tell you even more solid entries. Again, this was a great live example of it printing that this was a solid entry in addition to everything else. Now, are these right 100% of the time? No. Just like any other one, no, these are not always 100%. They will give you false signals, right, like these ones. But it's looking at the overall idea, and it's just there for you to have confluence. Reversals, kind of self-explanatory there. It's using what I coded into it to show you potential reversal points. Now, reversal points are good for the higher time frame, like the 15 and 30. I wouldn't go any higher than the 30 because, again, the indicators that I made for you all are optimized, and this is why this is so different. There's two main reasons why this is so different than any other indicator, actually three, than any other thing on the market. One, my indicators do not lag. These are using good statistical things that I'm not going to give the secret sauce to on how I analyze the markets, and it shows real time with price action whatever the goal of the indicator is, right? So it's not using lagging indicators, and two, it's not repainting. So repainting indicators are these would say move in time, and it would just look like it's in the perfect spot possible. So repaint, it doesn't repaint. And then number three, I don't even know what number three is, so we're just going to move on and act like I never said three. Volume bar. Oh, yeah. Number three is it's optimized to lower time frame trading. Okay, so it's not like this is just a cookie cutter indicator that it'll work on any time frame. You can't possibly tell me that there's an indicator out there that is great for any time frame because it's not optimized to that specific time frame you're looking at, right? So for any of these indicators that you see, I have optimized and tweaked it to where it's good for lower time frame trading. So I would not go outside of a 30-minute time frame for any of these because you may get a little bit of a skewed result. And you can even see on the 30 and 15 minute, it absolutely does amazing. You can see the catches tops and bottoms with the 15 and 30. The 5, you'll get a little bit more false readings. So I wouldn't really take the 5 with, even though sometimes they'll still work, right? I wouldn't take the 5 as for sure things. Volume bars. So volume bars, now this one kind of has some math to it. But pretty much what it's telling you is in relation, in very simplistic terms, in relation to the volume that it took for, say, this bar to do this, these green bars took there was a lot more volume that pushed these in this direction than these bars. Okay, so what that's telling me is that there's a lot more confidence in the market than the previous bars. So you see this huge volume bar here, red meaning it's very bearish, that there's a lot of volume wanting the price to come down. You can see here now, obviously this one didn't work out, but this one did. So they're not always going to work out. But you can kind of see a trend most of the time. As these volume bars print, the trend just continues. Not all the time, but most of the time. And that's all it is. The blue is partial bull bars, or not bull bars, I'm sorry, partial volume bars. The green is true volume bars or high volume bars for the bullish side. Red is high volume bearish bars. And then the violet or purple, whatever you want to call it, see if we can find one, is a partial volume bearish bar, but I can't find, there's one. Here's a purple one. All right. Breakout. Now, breakout, again, I'm not going to go over the secret sauce because it is my secret sauce. You guys cannot have it. What it's showing, it's just highlighting these little shaded areas on potential true breakouts versus false breakouts, versus like it's just giving you that much more confidence. Okay. So you can see here, like, obviously you're going to have false signals, but you'll see trades that we do take or trades that are viable. So let's look at Monday here. Obviously, I didn't take this long Monday because it was interfering with this zone. Now, again, it did play out. What is it? Oh, shoot. I don't know what I just did. Okay. So it did work out really well, but you can see how it highlighted green telling us there is a bullish breakout happening. And then it broke out, met all the rules, had a little green arrow. So this was like a beautiful play. It just didn't fit all of my rules. So again, because we're not trading off of any blind indicator, but see the stop loss even was exposed. So it's whatever. But yeah, it still worked out very nicely in terms of what the indicator was supposed to tell us it was supposed to do. And then red's bearish. And that's pretty much it. True bars. True bars is using exponential moving averages in the overall trend. You can see here that even the EMAs will even print on the chart. If you don't like seeing the EMAs on the chart, you can go over here to Style, turn the fast and slow MA off, and then you'll just see the bars. So the bars are yellow, meaning it's a partial bull or bear bar, just depending on what it is. Red is a true bear bar, and then green or blue, which is over here, is a true bull bar. Now you'll also notice these little price targets. So these price targets, because this is an actual trading system I used to use. But again, guys, remember the other video I filmed. You do not want to strategy hop. If you like this strategy, for sure, it's a viable one. But it's not one that you should add in addition to this one. Now, what this system does and what this system is designed to do is the first bull or first bear bar that prints off of the series of bull or bear bars, that is your most accurate entry, right? So this is meant to show you the stop loss, and this is meant to show you the take profit, right? So if this was the first bull bar of the series, right, if you use this trading system, the long would be at the close of that bar, the stop loss, so that way you're never losing at least one bar. And then the algorithm within the indicator is programmed to give you exactly a 1.5 risk to reward ratio, no matter where it is. And right here, it's a little bit above, but sometimes it just depends on exactly where you put these. But you get the point. It's always going to give you a 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio if that is a valid entry that you take using that trading system. But all they for me and all they are that I use them for is just, again, confluence. Like if I'm in a trade and I see a true bear bar forming or something and I'm in a short, just that much more confidence, you know. That's all we're looking at. And then trend strength, I kind of went over that already. Trend strength is really good paired with trend direction, just to give you the overall how strong a direction is. Right now we are bearish. It is turning red, I think. Yeah, it is turning red, meaning we're possibly going to range a little bit, which again, it wasn't like that at my entry point, but you can see here we are starting to range. So potentially even in this current trade, we could come back down here to these lows. So I could use that as an additional, like an idea in my head that if we do start to bounce off these lows here and it is in fact going to be ranging for the rest of the day, I can cut profits here at a 1.5 instead of being greedy and focusing on that too. And that's it. Any questions?